going to talk about lifestyle. And, you know, the biggest, most key part of this whole journey is understand lifestyle. And so if we don't get that piece, we didn't do anything here. We lost some weight. It's all going to creep back on slowly. So understanding why we do different phases, and I think, you know, that's the hardest part for someone, because once they get to their goal, as we, you know, we're just talking about, once we get to that goal, you just want to go like, okay, it's over, but only really we're just beginning, right? So we want to understand why we do phases. If we understand why we do phases, then it's easier for us to do phases, because we have the knowledge of, that's why. So phase 1, we are in fat loss phase. We are resetting the pancreas. We're understanding real life. So we're learning what macros are. So we're learning what carbs are. And why do I have you keep your food journal? Because if you don't keep your food journal, you have no idea what a carb is, a protein is, a fat is, and then, you know, we don't understand how to eat in real life, because a carb, you know, you can't just say, oh geez, you know, your metabolic rate is 1,300, so just eat 1,300 calories. You want those to be cookie calories, ice cream calories, whatever kind of calories. Just eat 1,300 and your weight will stay off. Well, we know that's not true. So what we have to do is learn that balance of the macros. So that's what we're learning in phase 1. That's why I have you keep your food diary. And then, you know, we're learning how to start to stabilize the body once we get into starting to head into phase 2. So once we've hit our goal, we're happy, we love the way we look, we've gone out, bought new clothes, we're, you know, just having the time of our life, why do we need to do phase 2, 3, and on into regular life? Because phase 2 is essential to resetting we've reset the pancreas, but it's essential to stay in ketosis, allow the body's been at between 800 and 1,000 calories now for a period of time. So maybe 2 months, 4 months, a year, whatever that is for you. The body now is also ultra insulin sensitive. So that's why the minute, if we deviate, immediately, boom, our body just starts sucking up the carbs and the fats, and boom, we, you know, start, it's amazing how we start storing fat so quickly, right? So the reason that we go through this 4-week stabilization period is because we don't want the body to do that. And so we have to do it in a certain way. And remembering that this is a medical weight loss program, it is very scientific. They've been studying it for over 30 years, and that's why Ideal Protein was the plan I chose. So in phase 2, we're going to stay in ketosis. We're gonna increase the calories by 200 to 300 calories. So you know, maybe we're at 1,200 calories now. We're still, you know, we're taking away 1 Ideal Protein for lunch. We're adding in, you know, 6 to 8 ounces of protein, including still our 2 cups of veggies. We're going to be maybe losing another 1 to 3 pounds in the 2 weeks of phase 2. And you know, it basically, what it's doing is, you know, we have less glucose available, so the liver creates ketones. Our muscle loss is minimal when we are ketogenic. So it, you know, the things that ketosis provides is improvement of your triglycerides. You're not hungry. You burn your own fat for fuel. Your blood lipids are going to improve. So, you know, a lot of things improve in phases 1 and then off into phase 2. So what are the reasons that you might gain 3 to 5 pounds in phase 3? So now phase 3, we're now getting you almost close to whatever your metabolic rate is. And we know our metabolic rate is based on our lean mass and how our body burns. Some of us burn faster than others. If we have thyroid issues, autoimmune stuff, we're older, menopause, what have you, we might have a slower metabolic rate. So the less muscle we have, the lower our metabolic rate. More muscle, better metabolic rate. So phase 3, we're restarting the pancreas. We're gonna, maybe add some berries at breakfast, maybe a half a piece of whole grain toast. Keeping all of the carbohydrates and natural sugars in the first half of the day. So I like to say before 1 p.m. After that, we're back into our regular ketogenic meal. So what happens is immediately when we add carbohydrates, even if they're healthy carbohydrates, anytime we add sugars, even if they're, low glycemic berries and that kind of thing, we are going to cause the body to take on what's called glycogen. So it's sugar stored in our muscles, in our liver. So we're now going to take on that glucose, so the body slips out of ketosis and into running back on glucose again, which is what we were running on prior to getting into ketosis. So basically, everybody's different. Some people store more glycogen than other people. It's not fat, and so that's why when you get into phase 3 and all of a sudden you gain weight, people are freaked out. And they run in here and they do their body comp, and we're just like, well, you filled up your glycogen stores, and so your lean mass looks like it's going up, your water levels look like they're going up, because they are. The body's storing that. The body stores about 3 days of glycogen when you're in sugar burning mode, which is why it takes 3 days to get back into ketosis, right? Because then we burn off the glycogen. So it's okay to do that as long as we're not going back into that fat storage mode. So phase 4, when we are in real life, most crucial time to journal. So we're going to figure out what your basal metabolic rate is. We are going to figure out kind of what's your insulin resistance level. So we may start out with adding about 5% more carbs. If that works, maybe we can go 5% more. And if that doesn't work, then we bring it back 5%, right? And so we find that area where you have the comfort zone of the carbohydrate intake, and where you don't start storing fat. Of course, we always want to review why we did this. So when we lose weight for an event, or for our husband, or for something other than our own personal self-esteem, then a lot of times we end up kind of back where we started. So remembering why you lost the weight, why you want to keep the weight off. What's your motivation not to go back there? Is it health? Is it that you gave all your clothes away and you'd have to buy a whole new wardrobe? And I want you to give your clothes away. One of a key factor and something that people get confused on is exercise. Yes, we want you to add in some consistent exercise, but you don't need to add extra calories because you exercise. And a lot of times that's our response. I went to the gym, I worked really hard, so now I can eat some ice cream, or I can have a couple pieces of pizza. No, folks. We don't, just because we, the treadmill said you burn 600 calories, doesn't mean you go eat 600. You don't eat to the treadmill. So, that's something that we always want to be thinking about. Our successful transition to phase 1 is really, it's a 90-day process. So the first 90 days is the most crucial. That's where the body's really stabilizing, and we're really learning to eat to our fuel intake, what our body can actually handle: carbs, fats, sugars, proteins. We learn about our basal metabolic rate. What is it? We start playing with the macros, seeing how far we can actually get away with. And we also learn the balance of indulgences. So I like to use the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you're staying keto adapted. So we're eating very similar to what we do on phase 1. and 20% of the time we're choosing an indulgence. And I hate the word cheat, because you're not cheating, you're making a conscious, yep, I chose to do that today, I went to a wedding, I went to a birthday party, I just had something I wanted, whatever that is. And in maintenance, I find that when we do the 80-20 rule, out of 21 meals for the week, 3 of them can have an indulgence in it. And that doesn't mean this massive 5,000 calorie meal. What it means is maybe you chose one thing, maybe you had a half a piece of cake, maybe you had a glass of wine or two, simple stuff. You choose one thing, not everything. And again, that's old stuff. So a lot of times our old mindset comes to play, where we go, well, I'm having a glass of wine, so I may as well have some pasta, and I had some wine and pasta, so I may as well have the bread, and I had some wine, pasta, and bread, so I may as well have some cake. Come on in.
Hi, am I late?
Yeah, no, have a seat at the table. You know what, I forgot that we were starting at 6:15. I'm a dork.
Hi, I haven't seen you in a long time. You look great.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
80
I've been here.
pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I saw you when I first came back.
Yeah.
A few months ago.
Yep. Yeah, we're just keep rolling down the road.
Yeah.
So we've been, just talking about kind of the transition. Why do we need to do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4? Because there's a real strategic thing, and you've experienced this a little bit with, you reached a goal that you wanted to reach, and then suddenly, you had your reward meal, and then that reward meal went into something else, and now we're
Easy to slip back into that.
Yeah. So the reason that we phase out is, number one, in phase 2, our body is ultra sensitive to carbohydrates. We are ultra sensitive to insulin. So the minute, we just add a bunch of sugars and carbs without phasing out, without stabilizing the body properly, we instantly start gaining fat. And it's just the response of the body. So the pancreas in phase 1 and 2 has been on vacation. It has been not producing and overproducing insulin. So the minute we, jump from phase 1 to real life, boom, and deviations and back and forth and treats and all that stuff, boom, we just start gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight, and so that's where we have to stop the train. And so when we get finished, we get to our goal, we take that 4 weeks to stabilize. So phase 2 has to be a stabilization phase, where for 2 weeks we're still ketogenic. We're just taking the ideal protein lunch away. You're having your breakfast, you're having your snack, but now you're having 2 meals similar to the dinner meal, 1 at lunch, 1 at dinner. So, and you don't have to have 8 ounces at each meal. You can do 6 and 6, whatever works for you without, we don't need to overeat. If you're full, you're satisfied, we don't need to continue losing weight in phase 2, but we do want to be satiated and not, go back to some of our old ways. So we're talking about here, transitioning into phase 4. So phase 3 is where we add some whole grains, and again, 2 weeks, and we add a little bit of natural sugars, maybe some berries with your, no sugar or low sugar Greek yogurt, that kind of thing. But we're only doing it in the first half of the day. Second half of the day, allowing the body to burn off excess. So, super important things in phase 4 is keep coming for the first 90 days. You're not on ideal protein anymore, but you and I are working on, we're looking at your journal, we're watching the body comp, we're making sure that we're stabilizing the body and the body is responding well. And if it's not, then we figure out what's getting in the way, what's causing the insulin response. And, it can be as simple as old things we did before that we didn't think mattered. Diet Coke, diet drinks, things that didn't, we were told for how many years? 20 years? have a Diet Coke. It's got 0 in it. We now know that the response level of the body is to make insulin because of the type of fake sugar that's in there. So maybe switching over to once or twice a week you have a Zevia, which is made with stevia. The body's not going to respond in that same way. And that's okay. You know, it's okay to have a soda but let's have a healthy soda. So let's move over to a healthier product. And so that's individual for each person. I personally don't do sodas, but that's just me. So I drink water. Learning, you know, our metabolic rate, learning how those macros are working, learning again how to put some indulgences in there, because real life has indulgences, and we want you to enjoy your life, and planning your week. So you know what's coming up on the weekend, right? So you can plan that scenario so that you go, okay, well, I know this is coming, or last weekend I did this, and this. Now that's how I live my life, because I'm always traveling almost every weekend. I have a, longtime love that lives out of state, and so when we get together, we like to have a good time, but by the end of the weekend, I'm like, OMG, that was fun, but like, okay, the scale, I'm up 3 or 4 pounds again. Okay, well, during the week, I take it back down. So it's not like it came on and it's just gonna sit there. But if weekend after weekend, I let 1 pound and then another pound and then another pound, that weight will sit there on my bod. So, having that balance during the week of 80% of the week, you are staying fairly ketogenic. You're having scrambled eggs for breakfast, chicken salad for lunch, salmon and broccoli for dinner. And then 20% of the time, so 3 meals, you select something that you want, that you enjoy. Friday night, you enjoy a glass of wine or 2. You went to a wedding on Saturday night. You went to mom's house and had a little bit of pasta and maybe something homemade that she had, right? But that's it for the week. Then the rest of the week, we bring it back together. And that's how, honestly, that's how you have to live real life. If you want to keep the weight off, our bodies, we're not the lucky 10% that, just goes out and eats burgers and fries and just doesn't pay the price, right? I know I am. We're still in phase 4. We're still going to meet for accountability, and I love, at least the first month, come every week. Then we go to maybe every other week. Then we go to maybe once a month. I still have clients that come in here almost every single week, do their body comp, say, hi, Renee, great to see you, so glad I didn't go up. And then, once or twice a year, they went on vacation for 3 weeks or what have you. They come back, they do their little reset, boom, boom, and they're on their way again. But literally, I have some clients that from almost the inception of this business have come almost every single week. And I love that, because I know that that's how they keep themselves accountable, and that's what we're here for, and it's okay. Because
so
really,
each
seriously,
phase you will tell us how much protein, how many cups of vegetables or whatever. See, I've never gotten out of phase 1, so I don't know.
No,
I don't know what to expect for phase 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially phase 4, because my downfall has always been like starchy stuff, like potatoes with steak.
You and 8 million other people.
Yeah,
so you're not allowed.
How do we're not allowed to have, how do you incorporate?
You absolutely are,
oh, okay.
but you're going to choose those as, again, that's your indulgence.
That's your indulgence, okay.
Yeah, so, I love some good homemade potatoes and eggs at Los Gatos Cafe, but how often do I have them? Once a month.
Yeah.
I know that if I have those weekly or daily, ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So, and if I'm gonna have my little fried potatoes, I'm not having bread. I really rarely eat bread. I find that that's just really like a bloater for me. Anything that makes me bloated, I stay away from. That's not working for me. So that's a good barometer instead of, just keep eating until the scale just keeps going like that. If things are making your tummy upset, bloated, we're not in a good place, that's where we have to kind of introspect that maybe we don't process those things very well. So that's phase 2. Simple stuff. You're literally whatever you eat for lunch, we're going to take that away and you're gonna put 6 ounces of protein in there. So it's that simple. And that's with your 2 cups of veggies at lunch. So phase 3, it's a little more, you know, we're looking at starting to, first of all, reasons we do our food journal is because we're learning what's in stuff, right?
Yeah.
So when we don't do our food journal, I don't know how many carbs are in my 4 cups of veggies I normally have, you know? I don't know how many fats are in this, that, and the other. And then that's how we have to understand where we're going. And you know, a lot of times, you know, you may only have 1,300 calories to work with each day, and that's where that food journal is essential. And developing that habit where it's like literally, again, I have clients who have been on MyFitnessPal because they met me and I put them on MyFitnessPal. I mean, 800 days later, it tells me, congratulate so-and-so, they've logged 845 days in a row, you know, because that's what keeps them on track. And so, you know, yes, in phase 3, we're gonna look at your metabolic rate, and your rate's different than her rate, you know, and vice versa. And so it's a very individualized thing. And also what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the kinds of things you like to eat. And some of the things that we do in phase 1 right now is you should be not eating the same thing every day just to power through. We should be figuring out the exchange of, I really love rice. That was one thing that made me gain a lot of weight is, number 1, in my early 20s, I didn't have a lot of money. And white rice and butter and salt taste really good together. And I could eat a whole darn handful of it. So I've had to learn how to make fabulous cauliflower rice dishes, which I actually really love now. But if you just said white rice, and some people think brown rice is better, white rice and brown rice, they process the same way. So we got some white rice and you got some cauliflower rice. I mean, like, come on, what are you gonna choose? Everyone's gonna go, no thanks on the cauliflower. But, you know, really, that's where, in phase 1, that's where we need to be, is understanding, okay, so guess what, potatoes don't really work for me anymore, so I'm gonna figure out how to use this rutabaga, turnips, I'm gonna make mash, I'm gonna make my cauliflower rice, I'm gonna find alternatives, I'm gonna take my little, you know, radishes and make them like little baby red potatoes and throw in, you know, in maintenance you can throw in your peppers and your onions, and really, it tastes awesome. And you know, have you made any stews like with the radishes in them and instead of potatoes? You haven't done it. It's actually, you don't even notice it, quite honestly. And it gives you that, or turnips you can throw in there, rutabaga you can throw in there. And as we go into the cold season, we're gonna wanna do that. And why not? You know, why not have a nice veggie stew? And so you can do that, and those are your long-term changes for lifestyle. So, you know, as we move through phase 4, we're gonna just start meeting on, you know, a once in a while basis, but I do like you to come in at least once a month. You know, probably every 6 months we reset a little bit. Maybe after the holidays you indulged just a little more than 20%. And so now, you know, you need to take off 4 or 5 pounds. So we wanna have that trigger weight. So if we go up, like my trigger is 4 pounds, 5 pounds, the max, you know. If I get beyond that, like the fire alarm goes off. And I have to say, I don't care what's going on this weekend, I gotta take this back 3 notches. And then I'll just do like a 3-week, you know, little reset. And it doesn't have to be on phase 1. You can, you know, do it with just ketogenic, you know, eggs and chicken and broccoli. You know, you can do that. You know, in the process of phase 4, when we meet during the week, we're journaling. So when you journal, you know, just like you've experienced a little bit of some things, you should be journaling to, you know, say, okay, wait, I'm stressed out, I have anxiety, and, you know, anxiety equals this kind of food. stress equals this kind of food. You know, I'm bored, that equals this kind of thing. And figure it out for yourself. And certainly we all have to do that. I mean, there was one day when I looked at myself and I was like, you sit down, you look at the TV, and you go get something stupid to eat. I'm not hungry. I don't even care, really. I'm just doing something. So, you know, and again, in phase one, we need to be figuring these things out, because those triggers and stresses and what have you, they're not going away. You know, as much as I would like to say that we're never gonna have stress again, we're just gonna have stress every week, you know, and it's a different kind of stress. So, you know, maybe it's at home stress, maybe it's work stress, maybe it's, you know, 9/11 stress, or whatever. You know, you watch the news all the time, it's depressing, and it's different for each person. So we do have to figure that out for ourselves. And you know, just stay connected with weekly texts, and you know, text me. That's what I'm here for, and I'm happy to help people. So you know, keep coming in. We have lifestyle classes. We, you know, participate, socialize. I think when we can, you know, like you said, gosh, I haven't seen you. You look so great. It's important that we connect with each other, and because we all have pretty similar things going on. And that's why we're all gathered here in our church group.
I was just gonna ask you, so even after phase 4, or while you're in phase 4, we can still come on Tuesdays and
Absolutely.
get stuff, cause I love that these package things are like so on the go. Like, if I know I'm gonna be gone all day, and if I don't have it, I'm gonna.
I would rather have you have this than something you're gonna pick up at Trader Joe's.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't want you to be living on protein bars and protein shakes. You know, that's a little thing to, you know, intermittently use. And I will say that people that lose a lot of weight usually have one meal replacement a day. That is something that helps people. But I like you to really learn how to eat real life food, because that's what also, you know, when we're eating in you know, we've all probably experienced it, but when we're eating a lot of processed foods, this is not working, you know. So we really want to get back to eating like things that have less than 5 ingredients, hopefully less than 3, and typically less than 1, or 1 but less, you know what I'm saying. So you know, as your coach, I hope that I lead by example. I'm very dedicated. You guys are, you know, I love you guys. I try to teach accountability. I want to motivate and listen, and help you build new healthy habits. And one of the reasons I'm in this business is it keeps me building my own healthy habits, and it keeps me connected to people that are like-minded, and that helps all of us. So, you know, I am your biggest fan. I just want you to know that. Let me turn